wasn't planning on killing you, but you're making it very tempting.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
With the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer finally here, it had some massive reveals throughout. The biggest probably reveal of the Season 3 finale trailer, though, however, has to be the reveal of Asajj Ventress and her return to a galaxy far, far away, given events that had happened throughout the Dark Disciple novel since the events of the Clone Wars, and now seeing her in the Bad Batch Season 3, there's a bit of confusion going around. That's exactly what I'm here, is to explain it all for you guys, break it all down for you guys. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Of course, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop right on into it. Before we do though, however, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. So if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and grab that subscribe button today. This video is more specifically about Asajj Ventress and her return in the Bad Batch Season 3, everything that we know about it, as I had mentioned, and kind of explaining all of that. I have a full Season 3 Bad Batch trailer breakdown here on the channel already, discussing all of the other big reveals, teases, and explanations that need to be explained from the Bad Batch Season 3 finale trailer here on the channel as well. So go check that video out if you haven't already. Okay, so in this video we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below, as Ventress's return in the Bad Batch Season 3 was officially broke down and revealed by one of the producers of the Bad Batch show. Somehow Asajj Ventress has returned for Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 on Disney+, confirming what Star Wars fans might have long suspected even at that. A recurring villain from the Star Wars The Clone Wars animated show is Asajj Ventress, was a former Night Sister and Count Dooku's Sith apprentice who progressively redeemed herself and did ultimately sacrifice her life, seemingly in the 2015's Star Wars The Dark Disciple novel. So why is the Bad Batch bringing in Ventress, and isn't she supposed to be dead, is the big question that a lot of people have been wondering. Now, I've kind of explained this a bit in and out of videos here on the channel already, but the way that Ventress seemingly dies in the Dark Disciple novel is she takes a lightning bolt hit from Dooku's Force Lightning abilities that we see displayed throughout the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith movies. I think specifically Attack of the Clones is a great example of this, with the duel between Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. Dooku uses that Force Lightning ability trick of his on both Anakin and Obi-Wan multiple times, even at that, during their duel in the Attack of the Clones movie. So they survive it, they came out just fine, they walked it off. Why can't Asajj Ventress do the same? I think it's kind of a no-brainer, I think, even at that. The biggest surprise from the Season 3 trailer of Star Wars The Bad Batch has to be the presence of the Clone Wars villainous Asajj Ventress, sporting even a new outfit, a head of hair, and wielding two yellow-bladed lightsabers, which does have some significant meaning that we'll also explain in just a moment. Now, as for why the former Sith has seemingly returned for the animated show's final season, the director and producer Brad Rowe had shared with Star Wars themselves that they've wanted to tell more stories about the character of Asajj Ventress, saying that simply, in quote, "We love Asajj Ventress. She's a character that we've been actually wanting to tell more stories about." And that quote right there, like, this is something that they've been planning to do throughout, especially the medium of animation and for Star Wars animation, is wanting to bring her character, Ventress, back, actually, because her story was left a bit open-ended and at the end of the Dark Disciple novel. And as I had just mentioned, it's that perfect explanation of, okay, you have Dooku and his Force ability Lightning, being able to use that on Anakin and Obi-Wan. They walk off with it kind of just fine. Why wouldn't she be able to do the same? Like, why would that be the final blow for such a powerful Force user, even at that? And so, while the Sith turned bounty hunter's last on-screen appearance occurred in the Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 5, her story continued in the 2015's Star Wars Dark Disciple novel, a novel based on an 8-episode arc that was originally planned for Season 7 of the Clone Wars animated show. I still do hope that they would come out with some type of Clone Wars Season 8. I've kind of talked about this in and out of videos here on the channel. For those of you that don't know, I would love if they did a Clone Wars Season 8 where they did those unfinished arcs, like Cad Bane versus Boba Fett. Another Bad Batch arc I think could be cool, and some type of iteration of bringing the Dark Disciple novel to life I think could be really cool. Now, the Bad Batch director had also gone on to reveal, comments went on to confirm that Dark Disciples events are still canon. This is very important, that they aren't shifting that to Legends, and that the Dark Disciple novel does remain canon. And and any new storytelling will line up with the events of the Dark Disciple novel. As he says that in quote, "We don't want to spoil anything, but we want fans to know that any new storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of the Dark Disciple novel." For reference, in Dark Disciple, Asajj is still a bounty hunter, but determined to work alone before being paired with Jedi Quinlan Vos, who was also referenced in the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus show for some type of mission to assassinate Count Dooku. Not only does Ventress fall in love with Quinlan Vos throughout, but goes on to recognize the light side qualities in herself, of reconnecting with the light side of the Force. But after he falls to the dark side, Quinlan Vos, she redeems him, but at the cost of her own life. Being hit with that Force lightning seemingly had taken her life. That doesn't no longer seem to be the case though, however. I will say though, however, there is one weird workaround that needs to be really told and explored throughout the Bad Batch show. Now, some people have kind of came up with this weird idea that Ventress in the Bad Batch is going to actually be flashbacks. I don't buy that idea whatsoever. The Bad Batch hasn't done flashbacks, so why would they start now? We've seen flashbacks though, however, happen throughout other Star Wars properties and shows. I think Boba Fett's a great example of that, but doing that in an animated show for one is something that we haven't necessarily seen. I'm pretty sure Rebels does it a couple of times though, however, if I'm not mistaken, but the Bad Batch specifically, they never do that. So why would they start now? And furthermore, why would they do it on a character like Ventress that doesn't really have anything to do with the Bad Batch all that much, up until now at least? The other big workaround, though, however, is throughout the Dark Disciple novel, though, however, after Asajj Ventress is hit with the lightning bolt and is presumed dead, Quinlan Vos actually takes her back to her homeworld of Dathomir, and from there is where she's actually buried. So there's a bit of a mishap kind of going on there. That is where they're going to have to maybe retcon some things with Dark Disciple. Not necessarily, though, because the director, Brad Rowe, did say that they aren't going to be doing that, is like taking it into Legend or anything like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how they maybe work around that. Due to Asajj Ventress' fan favorite status and the fact that Lucasfilm plans for her character were never really realized on screen, fans suspected that the studio would somehow find a way to bring her back sooner than later, and it's finally here. The question now is how and why is she still alive though, however. Granted, the events of the Dark Disciple and the Bad Batch occur relatively close to one another, but the book definitely predates the series in that Count Dooku is who's responsible for Ventress' death, seeing that that would take place, maybe aligning somewhere during the events of the Clone Wars Season 7, if, of course, that she is even dead to begin with, as her Star Wars Databank entry now reads, that she wasn't the end of Asajj Ventress' story in the Dark Disciple novel. Fans still have to wait and see how Lucasfilm explains this really specifically, and the fact that the Bad Batch is sticking to her Dark Disciple storyline even suggests that she's still a bounty hunter. Therefore, Clone Force 99 may be looking to hire Asajj to help break Omega out of Mount Tantus, alongside with Boba Fett. I have to throw that one in there as a fan favorite of Boba Fett. Anyway, I digress. If so, then she'll be very interesting to see how her Force connection and yellow lightsabers fare into the Bad Batch's post-Order 66 era. As I had mentioned earlier on, this idea of the yellow lightsabers here as well is something that deserves more detail and more depth in a separate feature video here on the channel, but a brief overview of that is that she's essentially very similar to Rey Skywalker at the end of the Rise of Skywalker movie, more of a guardian or protector of the Force. Another intriguing possibility is that Ventress may be connected to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's live-action Mandoverse. Fingers crossed for that. I think that could be really cool, especially in the wake of the Night Sisters and Dathomir's presence in the Ahsoka show. Given that, that's also something that's kind of more details and more depth I'd like to go on into in a separate future video here on the channel. It's all the more reason to grab that subscribe button if you haven't already. Guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking. The first 3 episodes of Season 3 of the Star Wars The Bad Batch is finally going to arrive on Wednesday, February 21st, only on Disney+. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.